and accept me for who I am.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Moises Beauchamp. Once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode. Today, we are talking about this podcast that Dulce Alavez's mother, Noema Alavez Perez, did with Mike Morford. A pretty interesting podcast. I'm here with my host, Miss Brenda Trinidad. Want to say what's up to the people.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well.
As you come in, share. We are doing the same over here. Again, we are talking about this podcast that Noema Alavez Perez did with Mr. Mike Morford. Alright, just letting a few more people come in. As you come in, share that we're on. As you come in, share that we're on. And once again, I'd like to announce these events that we have going on. The one on the 13th of September at 11 a.m. It's going to run through 3 p.m. And that one is hosted by Miss Jackie Rodriguez. And then we have the September 16th event, which will be held from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that event is actually held by the family. And they both will be at the Bristol City Park. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Share that we're on. Just waiting for a few more folks to come on in. Hit that one if you could hear me good, and if you could hear my co-host. Say something, Miss Brenda.
All right. If you can hear me, push 2 in the chat room.
And if you can hear me, hit that one. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in the room so we could get on with the content of today's session here. We're talking about Dulce Alavez's mother, Noema Alavez Perez, doing this podcast that she did. It's pretty interesting. As you come in, hit that like button and share that we're on. You ready to go ahead and get on with the content, Brenda?
Yes.
All right, we're just going to go ahead and get started. Those of you who are in here late, you'll just catch the information on the replay. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Once it loads, I don't know why it's not loading.
As you come in, hit that like button. Go ahead, take it away, Miss Brenda.
It's loading, hold on. All right, this one's on Mike Morford. We might be even pronouncing his name wrong, so we apologize. This one is episode 14, Dulce Maria Alavez. Unfortunately, he has the one that says $52,000 rewards, but we all know that it's at $75,000 right now. Okay, so this one says 5-year-old Dulce Maria Alavez vanished from a playground in Bristol, New Jersey in September 2019, a year ago this month. It is believed that she is a victim of an abduction. A description and a sketch of the suspect were generated, but as of yet, the case remains unsolved. Dulce's mother, Noema, has been the focus of attention from people who claim that she has not appeared to be showing enough emotion throughout this ordeal. The case has also been plagued by mysterious letters being mailed, hinting that the writer or writers may have information about the case. Noema joins us to discuss her daughter's case and to respond to accusations against her. If you have any information about Dulce's case, please call the Bristol, New Jersey Police at 856-451-0033 or the New Jersey State Police at 609-963-6900. And he'll be playing the podcast.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and play this podcast. I went ahead and skipped right to where Noema is being interviewed by Mr. Morford.
That conversation is coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Your health first. At Cooper University Healthcare, that's our aim.
From
our doors are
sponsor.
open. In fact, they never closed.
Sorry about that.
Yes, the world has changed. When you visit a Cooper office, some things may be a little different. New safeguards in place. But our medical experts' commitment to putting your health first remains unchanged. Your health is important to us. So don't delay your health care. Our offices are safe because we put your health first. Cooper University Healthcare.
Because you're more than energy, more than bones, immunity, healthy hair, skin, and nails. You're all in one, and so are we. Meet Smarty Pants Women's Formula, packed with over 18 premium nutrients and omega-3 fish oil to support a more productive and healthier you. Smarty Pants, because it's the smarter way to healthier.
Hi, Noema. Thanks so much for coming on Missing Persons to discuss your daughter, Dulce Maria's case with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Your little girl disappeared almost a year ago. How are you holding up?
Well, it's been hard for our family and everything to see that my daughter's not here with us. Sometimes it's hard to believe that she's gone. It's like this was just a dream. Just can't believe it's about to be a year for family. It changed a lot in our family. Not the same no more.
It's been a very rough year for you all.
Yes.
You feel like a part of your family is missing?
Yeah. Well, I feel my part of my heart is missing.
Do you ever think that maybe just one day you'll see her, she'll come home and you'll be reunited with her?
Yes.
But then days go by and that doesn't happen. That must be very depressing for you, very saddening for you.
It is. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Every day, people.
Can you tell us a little bit about your daughter, Dulce, what she's like?
She was nice. She was sweet. She was caring. She loved to play with her brother and her cousin. She would say, "I love you." She would scream, like play, like run around the house and scream of joy as she's playing. She would like to dress up as a princess, pretend that she's a princess, and sing Elsa's song, Frozen.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like she was a typical little girl doing the kinds of things most little girls do.
Yeah.
And the park that she disappeared from, the playground, was that a place that you had brought your kids to before?
Yeah, and my parents too.
Okay, so your kids had been there with you and your parents before. How many times do you think they had gone to that park before?
A bunch of times, I think. But with my mom, they will go a bunch of times with my parents. But with me, they will go rarely.
Okay. So one way or another, between you and your parents, they had been there several times and never had any problems, never had any issues with anything happening any of those other times?
No.
Okay. And take us back to that day in September 2019. It was September 16th when Dulce disappeared. Can you tell us about that day and what happened?
Well, that day, I went and pick up Dulce and my sister from the bus stop because they both rode the same bus, and they both go to the same school. So I went with them and picked them up. I went to the house with them, and I told my daughter and my sister and my son if they wanted to go to the park. They said yeah, but then I was changing my mind because I didn't want to go no more. But Dulce was crying because she wanted to go to the park. So then I took her. They got changed. They took off their uniforms and they put regular clothes on. And I was on my way to the park. And while I was on my way to the park, I told them if they wanted an ice cream, and they said yes. So I turned back around and went to the gas station. That's where we got ice cream. And after that, I went back to the park. When I was on my way there again. And after that, when I got there, Dulce and Manuel, they were happy. They were just wanted to get down and go play in the playground. And so they got down, and I let them get down, and they went running. And my sister said she was going to go, but I told her we had to finish her homework. And she said, okay. That's where...
Now, we're about to find out exactly who came to who. Did little Manny come to the car, or did Mom get out and go check on them? She's going to break it all down.
Dulce and Manuel went running to the park. And while she was doing her homework, I was scratching like a lottery ticket that I had bought at the gas station. So. And then me and Camila didn't saw no more the kids, so we both went over there and checked. And when we went there, Manuel was just crying, and his eyes just was just on the floor. And I told him, "Where's your sister?" He said that. Well, he just pointed because he didn't talk at that time. He was just pointing at things. So he pointed it behind the buildings. He just pointed the buildings with a tree, 2 buildings and trees in the middle. And I went there. I thought she was playing hide and seek, and I was yelling her name. And I couldn't find her. And my mom, like, they probably took her. And I was like, no. I was like, no, let me not think that. I'm like, let me find her.
As she said, in my mind, somebody probably took her.
I went to the forest. I went everywhere and looked for her. And I didn't. And then I don't know what to do. I was scared because I didn't know what happened to her. I couldn't find her because something like that never happened to me. So that's where I called the cops. And I just told him, like, I was in shock. I didn't know what to say, what to do. Like, I don't know. And now that I'm not in shock, sometimes I feel bad because I know I did a wrong thing not getting out of the car. And because of that, for not getting out of the car, now my daughter's missing. And it really hurts a lot.
To clarify, and I just want to make sure I heard you right, you were in shock when this first happened, when she went missing. And now that you're not in shock and looking back, you think you made a mistake? Is that what you said?
Yes.
And in which way was it that you thought you made a mistake?
Not getting out of the car and getting down with her.
Okay.
Now, is this the first time that we actually see Noema show some sort of emotion?
Yeah. Kind of, sort of. We hear it sound like she was about to cry. Or she was routing her engine up.
Oh, it actually did sound like she was crying. But let's continue.
from the very beginning, you mean? From right when she went out there, you wish you had gone out there with her?
Yes.
How long after you pulled up and they went out to play and you were scratching your lottery ticket until you realized she was gone, how much time passed by?
Like at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay, so it was a few minutes. And you said your son doesn't talk. He didn't talk at that time anyways, but he pointed. Were you able to understand anything he was trying to tell you about what happened?
No, because he was just 3.
Okay. So the only thing you knew was he was pointing, but you didn't know what he was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
So you called, was it your father? You said you called to say that Dulce was missing?
No, I didn't call his father. I called the police.
You called the police right away. Okay. And how fast did the police come to the park?
I thought that she had called her brother to get Lalo the dog before she called the police. But okay.
They were on the phone with me until police arrived there.
And the first police got there pretty quickly?
Yeah, he did.
And what was the first thing they did? Did they go looking or set up to block stuff off to look around?
Yeah, they blocked the entrance of where my car was parked. They blocked that parkway in. Hello, cops, fire department. I think ambulance too started coming and looking inside the forest. Then the next day, they brought dogs and everything like that. They started smelling her and everything.
Do you remember seeing any other adults or any other kids with their families or anything in the park when you were there?
There was 2 girls like my age and like 2 small kids like my sister age. They were there, and I think one of them was the one that said that they saw the red van.
Okay, so one of those girls is the one that reported seeing the van.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you were in shock, you were sad, you're upset after your daughter went missing, and you started to go on TV asking for her to be given back to you. Some people made a big deal. They said that you didn't look like you were really sad, or that you didn't seem that upset. What would you tell those people that said that kind of stuff about you?
Well, I don't really show my emotions on camera, on TV. I don't know. I'm just that kind of shy person that doesn't really show emotions like that. I don't even show my emotions to my parents.
Yeah. And I think you can't always tell, but by the way someone reacts to different things, you can't really judge by that. We all like to think that we can tell how somebody, what they're thinking by the way they're acting, but we can't always tell that. So I definitely understand that people shouldn't rush to think things about you. But it must have been tough hearing people say that kind of stuff, though, for you, I imagine.
Yeah, it is.
Oh. Well, I wanted to ask you a series of questions, and these are mostly things that have come up after your daughter went missing until now. These are things that people have talked about online and reported in the news, and see if you can help me shed any light on any of this stuff. So when Dulce first went missing, did your son come back to the car and find you, or did you go out to the playground and you found your son?
I went to the playground and found him. He didn't get back to the car.
Okay, so he didn't come back to the car and get you. You had already walked looking. It was because you were looking for them that you went out and walked up and found him? Okay. And also, you said on the 911 call that your son's ice cream was thrown onto the ground. Do you know if he dropped it or did someone else throw it down there? Were you able to find that out?
I think he dropped it because then like a week ago passed and his ice cream was still there. Like it was still thrown there.
Okay, so it wasn't like
what?
You don't think someone threw it down?
Did she just say that the ice cream was still there a week later after?
Yeah, she did.
How is that possible? So you mean to tell me that law enforcement didn't take that ice cream wrapper and dust it off of prints or something like that? What y'all think in the chat room? Why would you think that law enforcement wouldn't take at least the wrapper to dust it off for fingerprints? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Well, anyway, let's continue.
On purpose.
No.
Now, obviously, your son couldn't talk. You already told us that.
He was just a little bit, just to hear it one more again to make sure that I heard that correctly.
He dropped it, or did someone else throw it down there? Were you able to find that out?
I think he dropped it because then like a week ago passed and his ice cream was still there. Like it was still thrown there.
Okay, so it wasn't like
it was
you
still
don't
there.
think someone threw it down on purpose.
Thrown there.
No.
Now, obviously, your son couldn't talk. You already told us that. He was just pointing and stuff. Could you tell in any way that he was upset about his sister?
I think he was because he was alone. He didn't tell her sister anymore. I think that's why he was crying.
So he was upset about her, you think?
Yeah.
Back then he didn't talk, but he talks now. Is that correct?
Yeah, he talks now.
Has he been able to say anything or give any kind of hint about what he saw? Has he talked about that at all since he started talking?
He just it's like really hard to understand him. He just says that she ran and that's it. She went behind her.
I wonder now that he's a little older and that he could speak a little bit better. I wonder if now they're having like some sort of a professional work with him to like I don't know, like hypnosis or some sort of treatment that would help him like remember or kind of like give better information. What do you think?
So what she's saying is that he was only upset because she ran behind the building, and that's basically much what he says. But I wonder if he tries to describe the actual, like if somebody was really in their circle and then that's what happened. You know, if he's saying she ran behind the buildings and the abductor was close by, wouldn't he try to mention the suspect as well?
I don't know. It seems to me like it definitely has to be someone that knew this family. But let's continue.
Did you actually see the man in the Amber Alert, the one who supposedly took your daughter into the red van?
The sketch?
But did you see the man that supposedly took your daughter into the red van yourself?
No.
Okay, this was only by possibly one of the girls that was at the park that you think was the one that saw him.
Yeah.
Okay. Have the police been able to find anything out about that man or that van that you know of?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't think so. Because they won't give me detailed information about the investigation because they said that will interrupt the investigation.
Okay, so they keep stuff quiet about what they're looking for and what they're finding.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, some people were suspicious of your family. Do you know why people were suspicious of your family? Why they thought somehow your family may have been involved in her disappearance?
No, to be honest, no. I don't know why people are saying that.
Have you heard that a lot yourself? Have you heard a lot of people making those accusations?
No. They were accusing someone that said that he was my uncle because he has the same last name, Dulce Alavez. But that wasn't my uncle. He's not even related to me. And just because he had the same last name, they thought maybe he did something.
Okay. At some point, the police asked you to take a polygraph or a lie detector test. How did that go? How was that experience?
Okay.
Were you surprised that they asked you to take a polygraph test?
Yeah.
Did they say that you were a suspect or anything?
No. Yeah, they said that everyone is a suspect. Everyone.
Okay. Did you according?
Now, you took a polygraph test. If you notice the way she answered that question, those questions about the polygraph test, seemed like she was kind of hesitant to answer them. And then, from what I know, I believe that they give you your results right there and then. And she claims that they haven't said nothing to her about the polygraph test. You have some insight on that?
Yeah, I believe she got the polygraph done when she was pregnant. And I believe that it's kind of inconclusive because they probably picked up the baby's heartbeat. But the whole question is now, did they repeat a lie detector test after she had the baby? That we don't know. But I even Dr. Phil it's known to be picking up a fetal heartbeat.
But I believe that they still can give you some sort of results, whether they were inconclusive or what. They could give you some sort of something.
Maybe there was something hiding in her lie detector test.
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I don't know. Let's continue and listen to this interview. And we'll continue with the commentary a little later.
Did they tell you whether or not that you passed your polygraph test?
No, they didn't tell me that.
One of the questions
they didn't
on the test, did they ask you specifically if you set up your daughter's kidnapping or if you tried to sell your daughter?
Yes.
They did ask you that?
Okay.
And you answered that wasn't true?
Yeah, no, it's not true.
Okay.
Again, you hear the tone of her voice changed, to her demeanor, how it changed when she was asked that particular question there. I don't know. I'm just wondering, trying to get you guys' opinion. What you guys think?
Why did police impound your car? Did you get it back?
What car?
The car that you were driving that day. Is it correct that car got impounded at some point?
Yeah, they said they took it We had a talk. I think they were looking inside the courthouse.
Looking for clues or evidence and stuff?
Yeah.
Did they give you the car back?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. There were rumors out that you were arrested. Is that true?
No.
You were never arrested for any crimes related to your daughter?
No.
And do you know why some people's that rumor was going around? Any idea why people would say that?
No. I don't know why they said that.
And you were on the Dr. Phil show, and you told Dr. Phil that you had talked to your daughter about not going with strangers. Do you think that, obviously she's a young girl, do you think she listened to your advice and didn't go with a stranger, that maybe it was someone that she knew?
Yeah, I think because she will be shy around people that she doesn't even know. She wouldn't even talk. She won't even talk to people she does. She doesn't know.
Now you heard her? She thinks so. She thinks that it's someone that they know that took this little girl. So this thing gets crazier and crazier as we go, don't it? She's blatantly just said she thinks so, that it's someone that knows them. What you think?
I agree, because she said that she never goes with strangers, and right there in that little clip, if you want to rewind it as soon as we're done chatting so we can listen to it right fast again, but it says not that maybe that the person knew the family, but that Dulce knew the person. So either way, however Dulce knew them, whether it was the family or school or whatever, but she's trying to say she don't go with strangers. So if she doesn't go with a stranger and she's, has taught her that, then it must have been that someone that knew Dulce was the one that took her.
Right, so it could have been someone from school that works at the school maybe, or something along those lines. I don't know. I'm reaching, but yeah, I'll go ahead and rewind it and continue on with this interview.
Obviously, she's a young girl. Do you think she listened to your advice and didn't go with a stranger, that maybe it was someone that she knew?
Yeah, I think because she will be shy around people that she doesn't even know. She wouldn't even talk. She won't even talk to people she does. She doesn't know.
Do you think she'd run away from a stranger to try and go for help, try and find someone to help her?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know.
You mentioned that someone who had wanted to date you might have taken your daughter out of spite. Is that accurate that you said that?
Yeah, the only reason I heard that because Dr. Phil told me, can you think of anyone, who was the last person you saw, or who hasn't talked to you more? He was just telling me to bring someone up in my mind, forcing me. So I remember the last person I saw that was with my daughter. I told him that.
So it was just basically the police saying, is there anyone at all you can think of? And that was the only person you could even think of.
Yeah.
Did the police look at that person?
Yeah, they did. But I don't know if they found them. Yeah, I haven't seen them in a minute. When my daughter disappeared, it was some days after that. Then I haven't seen them since that day.
Okay.
She hasn't seen him. She hasn't seen him in a minute, right? She hasn't seen him in a minute, and then she says before that it sounded to me like she said that Dr. Phil forced her to come up with something in her mind, and she came up with that. Was what she said? Did she say that Dr. Phil basically forced her to come up with something in her mind, and she came up with that scenario?
Yeah, and then she did say that. She said he forced her. But what another thing is interesting is that the guy that she spoke to into the Dr. Phil, that she said that she stated that she's seen him a couple days before Dulce disappeared. But if you hear her here, she just stated that she hasn't seen him in a minute because a couple days after she disappeared, that was the last time he's seen him. I want to actually make sure that that's what she said, but I'm pretty much sure that she said she's seen him days after Dulce disappeared.
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and rewind it a little bit to see exactly what was it that she said. I'm gonna go ahead and
A couple days after Dulce disappeared.
right, that's what yeah. Right. Go ahead and rewind this just a little bit.
With my daughter. I told him that.
So it was just basically the police saying, is there anyone at all you can think of? And that was the only person you could even think of.
Yeah.
Did the police look at that person?
Yeah, they did. But I don't know if they found them. Yeah, I've been seeing them bring someone up in my mind, like forcing me. So I remember the last person I saw that was. Yeah, the only reason I heard that because Dr. Phil told me, can you think of anyone, like, who was the last person you saw, or who hasn't talked to you anymore? He was just telling me to bring someone up in my mind, like, forcing me. So I remember the last person I saw that was with my daughter. I told him that.
So it was just basically the police saying, is there anyone at all you can think of? And that was the only person you could even think of.
Yeah.
Did the police look at that person?
Yeah, they did. But I don't know if they found them. Yeah, I haven't seen them, like, in a minute. When my daughter disappeared, it was like some days after that. Then I haven't seen them since that day.
Okay. Do you know if when they checked him out, do you know if they were able to find out that he didn't have anything to do with it, or you don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. Man.
Now, obviously, they looked at you, they looked at your family, looked at everyone close to Dulce's life. Did they look at her father?
Yeah, they said they were talking with him through the phone.
And do you know if he was cleared at all?
I don't know. I think he was. I'm not sure.
So in the last year since your daughter went missing, there's been some strange letter mailed involving your daughter. What do you think of those letters? Are you familiar with those letters? Have you read them or heard what's in those letters?
I haven't seen them. I just saw pictures of it. That's it. It doesn't really I don't really understand it that much. It's just like scrabble.
Okay, so it's hard to really look at them and tell anything from them. Have police talked to you about those letters? And if so, what did they say about them?
They told me that it looked like a little kid wrote it.
Have you ever received any letters yourself, or anyone in your family ever gotten a weird letter like that?
No.
How has the public criticism, people have accused you of stuff or been suspicious of you, or saying it might be someone in your family, how has that made you feel? How has it affected you hearing all that stuff?
Right now, well, I don't really talk to my family. I don't see friends anymore because everything's in there. They're scared. And my family, my mom, my parents don't go out no more. They don't go to their parties. They don't celebrate nothing no more. it's just like, it's not the same no more.
It's really changed your lives, basically.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Do you think that there's been any fear among people that might have information that might be afraid to talk to the police because maybe they're afraid of being deported or something like that?
To be honest, I don't know. It might be that, or I don't know. Find people, I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, because sometimes people won't have information, but they're afraid to come forward because they're worried that something will happen to them themselves. But you don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
And there was a reward of $75,000 in the case. Is that still available for someone that has information about your daughter's whereabouts?
Yeah, that's still up.
So someone, if they had information, they could collect that.
Yes, if somebody calls, if knows where she is or has it, could get that money.
Hopefully, if someone out there listening does know, they would do the right thing and come forward and share that information. Where does the case stand now? Are the police keeping in touch with you to tell you what they're doing or to update you just to say, hey, we haven't forgotten about your daughter. We're looking for her still?
Yeah, someone calls us and let us know everything about the case, how we're doing.
So it mainly just like as an update?
Yeah.
I can imagine how tough this year has been for you and your family, but if somehow, some way, your daughter could hear anything you wanted to say to her, what would you say to her right now?
That I miss her. I want her to be home. That we're not going to stop looking for her. She's going to be home with us someday.
Hopefully you are reunited, and we do wish the best for you to find out where she is.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. There you have it. I mean, that was a pretty interesting interview. Like someone said in the chat room, that they're glad that she has finally answered for herself, without no middle person involved, and she has actually answered for herself. As that person is glad, I'm glad that she has done it too and cleared up a lot of questions, I guess. I mean, even though I still have a lot of questions, but she cleared up a lot of things for herself. I'm just boggled about law enforcement and how they've been handling this case. Mainly with that ice cream. I mean, you would think that they would at least take the ice cream wrapper and dust it off for fingerprints or something, in case this person may have touched it, knocking it off his hands, if that was the case, or maybe he took it, from, I don't know. I just don't understand how they wouldn't take at least that ice cream wrapper. Anything else?
Yeah.
Baby girl?
Yeah. I have a whole lot. All right.
Well, take it away. Take it away.
She claims that Dulce spent a lot of time at the park, but with her mother. Not with her, but with her mother. So I wonder, did they interview their grandmom and ask her, did Dulce play around with people? Because how many times, who has the custody here? So when you spend most of the time, the custodian will spend most of the time with the child, right? And she stated on here that her parents used to be the ones that used to take her the most to the park. Her parents, so that signifies her mom and her father,
right,
used to take Dulce to the park.
Right. Her parents, Dulce's grandparents, they were basically the ones there. They were basically mom and dad for Dulce. It seems like Naoma really didn't have that bond with Dulce like grandmom and grandpa did. I don't know.
But that's one thing, because if the abductor is anywhere, it's among, I would say, with no disrespect, but it would be around the grandparents' surroundings in the park. Because if she used to go there a lot with their grandparents, did they used to attend basketball games, soccer games, where Dulce would be around a lot of people. And like we always say, children always establish a relationship with somebody that we don't know, because they're consistently seeing the same person all the time. They would assume that that person is not a stranger no more, especially if you're there with your grandparents or your mom, and they see you associating with them, and they don't say, hey, stop talking. See, I automatically cut off a conversation, like, with, if I see my kids talking to an adult, I cut the conversation off if I don't know them. You're only there to play with kids, you're not there to associate with adults. That's how I am when I always tell my kids, hey, you're not supposed to be talking to adults, especially if you don't know them. But I do pull my kids back, like if they are in a park setting or in a lake or something like that. If it's not a child, and even then you can't even trust a child nowadays, because they don't know no better, and they think that they're doing something good, but they're probably helping the abductor lure another child into the vehicle. But anyway, she said that she's visited the park plenty of times, bunch of times, with her mom, but barely with her. So if the abductor was anywheres and seen her repeatedly, it would be someone that she was familiar with while the grandmom maybe was around, that maybe Noema didn't know about, because they don't hang around with the same crowd.
Right, but we're going with the fact that on the FBI's theory, the FBI seemed to think that this was a crime of opportunity. So therefore, it leads me to believe that this person wasn't there that day specifically to snatch up a child. It just so happened that there was a couple kids that were unattended, and he took that opportunity. That's as far as what the FBI seemed to think.
He didn't think about taking anybody that day, but he always thought about taking somebody, because it's one thing to look and say you could look, like my grandma used to say, touch with your eyes, not with your hands. But this man, he touched with his hands and he took her. They always say, if you're watching with your eyes and you're looking at children or whatever the hell infatuates you, but there's another thing to even go all the way through and follow out a whole kidnapping. And at one point in his time, and that person already knew that park was the way that park was. So that's for one. So anyway, so she picked them. They went to school that day. There goes the question. Did those kids go to school that day? How did they get home? Did she pick them up? She answered that question. She said she picked them up from the bus stop. Right? Then they went to the house. Then she told them that she didn't want to go. So then Dulce crying. She changed her mind. They went upstairs. They changed their clothes. Then on her way down to the park, midway, she decides to ask them, do they want ice cream? So she whips that car back around, and she ends up going back to the Sunoco. Well, back towards her way where she lives at. That's the Sunoco. Then from there, they went to the park. So wow. So that's a lot of in 30 minutes, that was a lot. Like, that was a lot. You picked them up from the bus stop. Okay? Then you took them inside. Then you told them you wasn't going. So that's what, by the time you're not going to make up your mind really fast and say, okay, no, that's going to be like a good 5-10 minute debate if if you really don't want to go to the park. So now, then they went upstairs and they changed their clothes. So after Dulce cried, then you got to calm the child down because she's 5. So it's not like, you're going to switch the button off and they're going to stop crying. So anyway, so they changed her clothes. Then, like I said, she's midway to the park. She turns back around to purchase some ice cream. Then they went back to the park. Well, like she stated, she went, to start going again to the park. Because when she says went to the park, it makes it seem like she already went there. And then they decided to get ice cream from the park. But then they left the park to go get ice cream the way she said it. But eventually, unfortunately, she's saying midway. They were happy, right? She also stated that her sister was not allowed to get out of the car until she was done doing her homework. So that was another reason why you had to stay in the car.
Right. And then she scratched off a lot of lottery tickets.
Yep.
She did it while she was helping her little sister with the homework. And like Melissa said, that she's curious. Why doesn't Noema mention calling her brother like she did previously? And I wonder the same thing. Why isn't it that she because now she says that she called the police first, right? That's what she said in this interview, that she called the police first. But previously she has told us that she called her brother first to bring Lalo the dog back to the, or bring Lalo the dog to the park. And I believe she said in this interview that the brother was walking with the dog. Did she say something like that in this interview?
No, that would be tomorrow's
breakdown. That was on another.
Yeah.
On another. Because here lately, in the last few days, a lot has come out. Not necessarily nothing new, but we have been getting updates. We have an update from the chief, and we have an update from the prosecutor, and we'll come back with those two interviews tomorrow. Today we're going to focus on this interview, and that's where we're at. But yeah, that's a good question, Miss Melissa. I'm curious as well. Why is it that she isn't mentioning calling her brother like she did previously?
Well, when she was looking, Manny pointed to the buildings. She said there was 2 buildings with a tree in the middle, and that way is the way that Manny pointed that she went. But when she went looking for her behind the buildings, she said in her mind she thought someone took her, but then she said nah.
Right, she was like, it was her thought. Nobody told her that somebody had taken little Dulce. She said that was her thought. And that kind of like messed with my mind a little bit as well.
Yeah, and then she states that she was in shock when it happened. Yeah, you could be in shock. I'm just glad that now that, the minds are clear and you're able to recollect what happened that day. But anyway, the time that she was in the car to the time that she noticed that she was gone, she states that it was within 5 minutes. Okay. When she got out, she stated that she got out, out there with Camila. And when she went up there, Manny was crying. His ice cream was on the ground. And it was on the ground, but somebody had told her from before that on the 911 call, she stated that somebody threw the ice cream on the ground, that they told her that. But now she doesn't know if they actually threw it on the ground, because even though they stated that, a week later, the ice cream was still there at the park. And I don't think she means the actual ice cream. I think she means like whatever, the wrapper and the stick, those things were still there at the park. So she believes that maybe Manny just dropped it. So that's probably why it wasn't important enough per her for the police to pick it up as evidence. And we don't know that, because right now everything is just so confused that.
Right. Me personally, I think that Noema should have a translator with her because, you know, she doesn't come across clearly when she's speaking, and it could tend to confuse a lot of people, especially if they don't, you know, understand her slang. Like, we basically understand her slang, but maybe a lot of other people may not.
Yeah. But then it states in the Dr. Phil show, she mentions that there was only 2 young girls in the basketball court. Now in this interview, she mentions that there was 2 girls her age, and then there was 2 girls the age of her sister, Camila, which Camila at that time was 8 years old. Now in the Dr. Phil show, unless he removed some clips and didn't allow us to hear that there was other people at that park, but she now comes out and says that there was 2 girls around, you know, of her age. At that time, Noema was 19. So she states, so there was 4 people at the basketball courts. Now, the only thing that I don't like is that she said, I loved her a lot, and she knows that. Usually that when it ends in past tense,
right,
usually it doesn't sound good.
She said, I love her, and then I loved her, like, past tense. Yeah, I caught that too.
Now, she also clarified that he didn't come back to the car, Manny, that she went out to the playground. Right? So she was the one that actually got out of the vehicle when they noticed that the kids were out of sight. Within 5 minutes, she felt something was wrong because she obviously, the sister, didn't see the children. So it struck her to get out and to go look. And that he was upset he was alone. He asked her, why do you think Manny was crying? Not because the ice cream was knocked down on the ground, or he threw the ice cream on the ground. She says that he was crying because he was alone, and that his sister wasn't there anymore.
Right, she did say that. And yeah, he wasn't worried about that ice cream. He was worried about what just happened, and he couldn't explain it because he couldn't speak.
And another thing that she says is that he does talk a little bit more now, but when asked, does he talk about what happened that day? Because it's still fresh in his mind. Because if they keep consistently asking him questions, and he looks like a child that would want to get his point across. Because I've seen several videos of how, since he can't talk, he is using either pulling your shirt and then yelling, or he's making you aware that's. You know, if you see videos of him, you can see how aware he is and how he tries to say things, because at that time he was nonverbal. So now, and all he states is that she ran behind the buildings. I wonder if he states who she left with.
You know, another question that has my mind tripping is, okay, we know that they had dogs, right, the next day. Because as far as she says, police responded pretty quickly. They were there pretty quickly. They had the fire department out there pretty quickly. They had the ambulance out there. And it seems to me like law enforcement acted pretty quickly. Now, the next day, that's when they had the dogs out there and whatnot. So that leads me to believe that that's when the FBI got involved. Now, the dog scent, where did it end? Where did the dog's scent end? Did it end at the water, at the river there, or what? Where did the where did Dulce's scent end as far as the dogs, tracking her?
I'm gonna find that article, but I did see in an article somewhere in the very beginning that the scent was lost. Her scent was lost in the water, near the water. And then that's why when you see one of these pictures that are rotating up here on the screen, that you'll see the actual dog in the water. That's about the same area, supposedly, where the dog has lost her scent. It was in the water. So why would they have lost her scent in the water?
Right. What that it confuses me because I mean, I'm sure that you could get a vehicle in that area, but they're stuck on, well, they was stuck on this red van scenario. But if she was taken in the vehicle, why would the scent, her scent end at the water? That just has me kind of, confused there.
And with these dogs, because like not the other day when we was watching that Chris Watts thing, I know it's a whole left field on that, but anyways, while they was looking for his wife, this one lady, she had came there, she had the trained dogs, and they told her, did you want to walk around the area outside with the dogs? And this dog kept taking her further and further, like within the vicinity of where the wife lives, but further and further away from the home to where they actually found a broken earring on the street. And I'm wondering, did they use those types of dogs when they went when they went looking for her? And then that's probably how they got that far. If she did get that far in a vehicle, did they remove her from the vehicle and place her in a boat to keep taking her out of there?
It could, anything is possible, although it could be reaching a little bit, but anything is possible. I mean, they could have had a canoe out there and took her out in a canoe. I mean, for all we know, anything is possible. But yeah, it's strange how her scent would end at the water if indeed that's where her scent ended at.
Yeah, and then they say that they don't give her, she stated that they don't give her any info in the beginning of this podcast, but then towards the end, when asked, and she's always saying, yeah, they call me, and they give us updates, but just in the beginning, you said that they don't give her any type of info whatsoever because it's a criminal investigation. It's an investigation or something like that?
Right, she did say that they don't give her much info because of the fact that it's an ongoing investigation and it could hinder the investigation. But I'm sure that they give her some updates, whatever they can tell her. I'm sure that they do tell her. Again, we'll get into the updates that are public tomorrow with the chief of police and the Cumberland County prosecutor.
The one thing that I noticed that changed was her monotone in her voice. Throughout the interview, she was okay. You could tell in certain questions that her monotone in her voice will go down a little bit, and it's like
she actually got emotional and cried. That surprised me.
Yeah. But her voice changed when it was asked, did she sell or kidnap her daughter? She went from talking about real good about Moises Alavez, stating that that's not her uncle. By the way, she just stated out there that that wasn't her uncle. And if anybody was following this case, they knew how Moises Alavez was like, you was for sure he would have been matching everything because he did have a red van. He was a local fisherman. He contained the last name as her. He seems to know the family a bit, but except that it's just no relation to Dulce. Hello, Danielle. How are you this evening? But she was never arrested for anything that had to do with Dulce's kidnapping. So in the beginning, when they said about the $15,000 that she withdrew from the bank and that she was arrested, she was never arrested. But the other thing that stuns me is that she says that she wouldn't go with strangers.
Where did that come from, that she was arrested?
Somebody was posting that. They circulated that around Facebook. It wasn't anything. And actually, British police squashed that rumor in the beginning. And now, when there's news, things are coming up, somebody is reposting those screenshots of these people, even though that Chief Gallimari came out and said that that was false. And then they stated that they even found her, and he also came out and said that that was false.
Right.
But the thing is that she says she wouldn't go with strangers. that, you know, he said, would she had listened to your advice? And he asked her, do you think it was somebody she knew? And she said, it must, you know, it could be someone she knew, because she would be shy with a stranger.
Right, well, the way she said it, she was like nearby positive. That Dulce would not go with a stranger, and that it had to been somebody that she knew, you know, whatever it was, someone that she frequently seen at the park when she went to the park, or an employee at her school, or you know, the way Noema expressed herself, she was nearby absolutely positively sure that little Dulce wouldn't go with any type of stranger. So, you know, she's positive that it was someone that knew her.
And that she wouldn't talk to people she didn't know. And then he asked her, do you think that she was running off and trying to ask a stranger for help? And she was like, I'm not sure. Like, she knew that her daughter, instead of running off to a stranger to ask for help, that she knew that she would run to her possibly and ask for help versus running to a stranger. And right there, it makes it sound that she's pretty confident that someone that she knows, that Dulce knew, was the one that took her. And then she said about the gentleman on the Dr. Phil show, that a couple days before Dulce disappeared, that was the gentleman that had asked her, you know, is that your daughter? And that supposedly, you know, she didn't want him anymore or whatnot. But what she said was that first of all, they didn't find him, so she doesn't even know if they really have spoken to the gentleman or not. And that she's seen him days after that, when Dulce disappeared. And then that's it. So you seen him a couple days before Dulce disappeared, a couple days after Dulce disappeared, but the law enforcement hasn't seen him yet, allegedly, by what she stated in this podcast. And she doesn't even know if they actually checked him out. Now, the only thing that I don't understand, also I don't get, is with the Ohio letters. I don't understand why they would have said that it looks like a kid wrote it. I mean, you know, well, it does look like a kid wrote it.
We all know that it was scrabbled.
It was chicken scratch.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like.
It looked like a kid could have wrote it, but
yeah,
it was more of a, like they say, like they call them encrypted letters, because
who we're talking about right now, Cindy?
Definitely crypted.
Oh, let me rewind that back then a little bit, Cindy. Yeah, you did miss it, Cindy. I did send you an inbox though. But anyway, Cindy, I'm pretty sure you've seen the Dr. Phil show, where he asked her, did you have anybody in mind that you think that could have done this to your daughter? And, you know, the gentleman that she states, you know, at that time, she said that she's seen him a couple days before Dulce disappeared, and he had came up to her and asked her, you know, was that her daughter? And supposedly this, you know, was someone that she brushed off and no longer had interest in. And then according to her in this podcast, she states that the last time she seen him was days after.
It was a podcast. It was a podcast done by Missing Persons. It was their 14th episode, and Mr. Mike Morford interviewed Noema. And you missed it, Miss Cindy. You missed it. We just went through the whole interview, and it was very interesting, as Brenda was saying. She spoke about the gentleman that Dr. Phil asked her about. She said about the ice cream, how they went back a week later and the ice cream was still sitting there, which kind of messed with me a little bit. I don't understand why police wouldn't take at least the rapper as evidence. Yeah, she cleared up a lot in this interview that was done by Mr. Mike.
Just wait until tomorrow's where she cleans up the dog. No, I was telling Cindy, I said she better be on tomorrow so she can listen to when she cleans up the dog situation. But yeah, she was talking about the gentleman who was talking about the Dr. Phil show. But anyway, I just didn't like that she said that she seen him a few days afterwards. But from what I understand and what I've seen after the Dr. Phil show aired, when she said that name in the Dr. Phil show, that name was provided to the Brooklyn police, and then they went and they pulled her in for questioning about that said gentleman. But I believe that I seen, and I will find it because it was like in one of those Dr. Phil article that they did, and by someone else said too that she was pulled in for questioning afterwards, only because she stated that name on the Dr. Phil show. So I don't think that that was something that was stated before when all of this was happening, before she went onto the Dr. Phil show. That was something that came out of it, but then that's why she said she was forced. But
right, it seemed like it sounded to me like she said forced, but then again, I could be wrong because the way she speaks is a little hard to understand. Yeah. Anything else that you would like to add?
No, and then when she said about when he's asking, do you think people are afraid, because they might get deported? And she's not sure. And then she says, I'm not saying nothing. You're supposed to say, don't be afraid.
Right.
Call it in.
Right. Yeah.
It's my daughter, but I'm not saying nothing.
You're right.
I guess I felt some kind of way.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I'm not saying that. Like, yeah.
I don't think she was drawing I don't think she was drawing in her community when he asked the question about deportation, and she's like, she's so iffy about it, and then she says, I'm not saying nothing. What do you mean? If you're not gonna say don't be afraid, then you just lock down your whole community all over again. Because if you're not confident in knowing that no one is going to get arrested because they're providing information about your daughter to the law enforcement, and that it's okay, then who's going to speak up now because you're not saying nothing? And I know that he tried to clean it up and state, maybe because you don't want to say, different things. And no, I believe that she said she don't want to say nothing about the deportation. And she said anyone can get that money. That's what she said.
Right, yeah, she did. She did. You want me to play that ending real fast?
The what?
When she said that about the money.
Yeah, why don't you just go ahead since Cindy's in here? Can you find the one about the dog?
Which one about the dog?
Oh no, never mind. She said please wait. She has something that she's looking for.
But yeah, what I can do is I can play this 2-minute video that Noema posted today. This was it's dated for today, and I'll go ahead and play that real fast.
Pretty sure the people that live there know that that city is a sanctuary city. That's why they're there. Send it to my inbox, Cindy. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading what Cindy was saying. But yes, he's up. He's loading right now. This interview is up. It's about a 2-minute clip. But now that we have actual 13 people on here, we have a whole lot of interaction with our comments.
It's just a 2-minute clip that was posted today. I'll go ahead and play that real quick.
Email it to me.
Because I told when I got there, I told my son, "Where's your sister?" And he just pointed behind the building, and I went behind it. And I couldn't find her. I was screaming her name, and I couldn't find her. And the only reason I said that a man took her is because they said that a little girl, one of the girls that was in the basketball court, one of them little girls said that they saw someone taking her. They saw a car. That's what someone said that. They saw
that red van.
Yeah.
Your first reaction after that, you called your brother first, and then you called police. Is that what happened?
Yeah, because we have a dog. I think it's a pit bull or a half boxer. And I told him to come for the house to the park walking with the dog, and if he sees my daughter.
But on that podcast, she said that she called police first. Which one is it, Noema? Did you call the police first? Or did you call your brother first? I don't know, Noema. You're getting your own self caught up. But I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Tell them why they're taking her, because I told them that I couldn't find her. Then after that, I called the police. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was scared.
You were criticized. How did that make you feel? Did that impact you? Like, days after your daughter went missing, and they said that you could be involved because you're not crying on television.
Yeah, that affected me when I saw all the comments saying that, "Oh, I sold her, that I killed her, that I know where she is." That really affected me, because how people are gonna say that. I know I've seen a lot of cases where mothers do that to their kids, but I love my daughter a lot, and she knows that. And I was never jealous of her in anything, in any kind of way. I always loved her.
And if she could hear you right now, what would you tell Dulce?
That I love her. I miss her a lot. I want her to come home. I want her to be part of my life again.
She's got a new baby sister, right?
Yeah, she does.
Oh no. Something strange about her stories. Why they switching up every time that she's speaking? I have no clue. Do you have a clue why she may be switching up her stories every time that she speaks?
Well, how long in shock did you have to wait to talk about how your brother got there with his dog?
I mean, not to interrupt you while my phone is interrupting us. But yeah, not to interrupt. Sorry about that. I thought my ringer was off. But yeah, not to interrupt you, but I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, go ahead and continue. It'll come back to me.
All right, with this interview right here, now it is okay. A 5-minute drive from her house to the park, and I am going to Google right now how long it is on foot to the zoo, to the park. Walking, because if you said you was walking, if you say you was walking, how long does that take? I believe I've done it before. I think I did it before, and it said about 15-20 minutes, because I hiked from one side to the next. And it wasn't even that long. So hold on, give me just one moment. I apologize because it's like, oh, okay. So from her house, Church Street, or wherever street, to Cohansik Zoo, which is just a niche down from 25-minute walk. So you call your brother, because your brother has the dog, to come walk to the park, a 25-minute walk. 20 if he got up on top of that dog and made it there. But 25-minute walk, unless they know. I mean, I'm pretty sure my husband probably walked there faster because his legs is long hill. He can get. He done took 4 steps and I done took 15 steps. But we still get there at the same time. But 25-minute walk, that's 1.3 miles. You was really going to wait for your brother to get there with the dog? But she stated that she wanted her brother to look around as he was coming this way because she might have went that way. Why would you have thought she went home? She's a 5-year-old child. You think she's that mischievous and devious to walk to her house?
I don't know, because when I was in kindergarten, I would think I was 5, around that age. 5 years old. My father had bought me a set of drums, right? And not to beat y'all down, but my father had bought me a set of drums, and my father worked. So he had a little clock set up for me, right? Mm-hmm. The big hand here, the little hand here, and that's when you go off to your bus stop. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I got hooked on playing my drums and missed the time and missed my bus. And I walked from the bus stop. I walked to the bus stop, and then from there, I walked to school. I remembered the way the bus took, and I went the route the bus took. And I made it all the way to school. I was late. I got in deep trouble once my father found out. But I walked from the bus stop to my school right here. We lived on Landers Avenue, and my bus stop, I believe, was on 6th and Montrose, when it used to be 6th and Montrose. And I walked all the way to this, I forget the name of the school, but it's the school way down there by the, it's off of the boulevard, and it's like going towards, past the park and all that. It's on the left-hand side, all the way in the back there. I don't know if you know what school I'm talking about. Well, anyway, I walked from my bus stop, and I was in kindergarten, so I would imagine I was about 5 years old. And I walked all the way to school. So that, you know, that can be possible.
I'm just surprised nobody stopped you. Nobody stopped you from walking, but I'm pretty sure that that's completely different. You knew you weren't supposed to be on that drum set, and you knew that you missed the bus because you was entertained with the drum set, and you knew your father wasn't gonna have it, so then you walked. But what concerns me is that nobody stopped you while you was walking to the school. But why would she have ran away from the park to go home if the park is where she wanted to be? Because supposedly Dulce made a big stench about it and crying because she didn't want to go. So why would she be on her way walking home if the park is where she wanted to be?
Right. I was just saying that it's possible.
It is possible.
She could have,
with her story,
home.
It's possible. But I don't think that she walked home because she just got there. Why would she have walked home if she just got to the park? So what, Manny upsetted her and she wanted to walk home?
Well, that was never a question, was it?
No, but that's what she said. She said that she called her brother on the phone so he can walk to the park, so he can see if he finds her walking that way. That's what she stated on that short 2-minute clip. And I bet you there's a whole nother one coming out. That was just a short 2-minute clip. But I'm pretty sure there was more questions there as well with her. And then she stated that she was never jealous of her daughter. Don't even know why she would have said that.
Yeah,
that was a question.
That statement was kind of strange. Well, why would she say that? Why would she say that she was never jealous of her daughter? That didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I don't recall what he said that made her say that, but she did say a few things. I only grasped where she said that she was never jealous. I didn't grab what else she said after that. But anyway, in this one, that 2-minute clip, she says that she called her brother first before the cops. In the podcast, she says she called the cops before, anyone else. So far we've done 3 videos since they've came out, and so far we've got maybe 3 different things with her. But I'm gonna leave off with saying that in the first podcast she did state, yeah, the only podcast that she just did, that we just did in this video, where she still says that she doesn't believe that she left with a stranger.
Right. She's adamant about that. She says that Dulce would never leave with a stranger, so that that a stranger is not it as far as Noema is concerned. That she would never take off with a stranger. So that leads me to believe that it was someone that she knew, someone that frequently came to that park, whatever it was, because she said that she rarely took her to the park, that it was normally grandma that would take the kids to the park, or Dulce for that matter. And she seems to think that Dulce wouldn't leave with a stranger, so that leads me to believe that it was somebody that's frequently at the park, and somebody that Dulce knew. And that's what I think on that.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't think that she's in the area. I believe that Dulce is far from New Jersey. I don't think that she's in this area. What you think?
I don't know. That's why I guess me and you do it together. I don't see her anywhere else but that area, because usually stranger abductions, like I said, they're usually about a mile or 3 miles away from their home. Look at this guy. Forgot what his first name is, but his last name was Castro. Right there, he had all them girls in his house, and nobody even knew. Ariel Castro, how he had kidnapped those girls. He had them living that. They even buried his children. One of them girls buried his children, and still nobody knew that those girls that there was girls in there and that they were kidnapped. So I still hold on to the thing that she's still in the area, only because I look at that side a lot versus you like to look outside of New Jersey. I still think within me that she's still close to home. It's just this person kind of thinks that they got away with it, but I still think that she's in the area.
So are you leaning more towards believing what the spirit whisperers believe, that she's no longer with us, or you're leaning more towards what the FBI seem to think, that she's still alive?
Well, the FBI only states that they seem to think that she's alive because they haven't found what they're looking for, a body or any type of evidence signifying anything else than that she's alive. And that's like they say, the premise of what they live on, that she's still alive. But honestly, as many things as went down that day and so forth after that, Even if they had the chance to take her out of there, I still don't understand why they didn't see her in that 5 o'clock traffic. Well, we only get a Amber Alert, and it's just as a red van with a sliding door. I mean, that's almost just about every red vehicle that drives by you. But at the same time, you're stuck in 5 o'clock traffic because this happened around the time where this person would have been stuck in traffic.
Yeah, but sometimes the best way to commit a crime like that, something like that, would be in the face of everybody. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I believe this is why this person was able to get away with it the way they did. And not only that, the Amber Alert wasn't issued till the next day. How many hours later was the Amber Alert?
36 hours.
36 hours later. So, there wasn't really no one really looking at that point at the beginning. So it gave whoever took her plenty of time to get out of Dodge. And like I keep saying, in my heart, I feel that she's still living. I don't side with the spirit whisperers, where they think that she's no longer with us. Then again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Melissa, girl, you be on top. But thank you for sending me that, because guess what? I'm going to look into that tomorrow, and we definitely will be talking about that tomorrow, Melissa. I did see that. I want to be able to speak on it, but I want to be able to read it first so that I can know this is about that.
But yeah, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
We'll speak on that tomorrow. In closing, do you have anything in closing?
No. This was actually a great podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow we'll be in here with something different.
Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow. Again, we're random. We don't know what time we'll come. We come on. We do this, at our spare time when we have the time to do it. Life tends to get in the way, and we get busy, so we can't stay on top of this like I would want to. But we do the best that we can. We thank you guys for coming through and participate in the way you guys do. I would like to have a little bit more participation as far as the phone lines. I like it when you guys call in and voice your opinion. But with that said, tomorrow we'll come back with another one. If you guys will do me a favor on your way out, hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And one more again, thank you for coming through, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. One love, my good people.
Gigi, I've decided not to leave this town. Maybe I can stay and find some other nice people who will like me and accept me for who I am.
Trusting your spirit, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.